Hello everyone, this is the Disfunctional Shul number 16. And I'd like to dedicate all the words of Torah I'm about to say to the loving memory of Saadia Yaakov Deri, Hashem Yikom Damo. Saadia was killed just a few days ago in the war that's still going on. And I don't think any of us can get out of our heads the beautiful picture of him just 24 hours before he was killed, wrapped in talis and tefillin, davening in Gaza. Maybe another picture that's a little less known of him learning Torah in the midst of war. The Rambam says that there's two ways of fulfilling the mitzvah that we say twice a day, Ule'ovdo bechol levavechem, and you shall service God with all your heart. Number one is via prayer, and number two is via learning Torah. And to see a soldier who's clearly exempt during war from both, doing both, definitely obligates all of us. And it's exactly within that spirit that I'd like to speak about a scenario I just saw in davening that I can't get out of my head. I daven in a minyan for Mincha in Lod, when I'm there, that I love. There's Sfardim, Ashkenazim, Hasidim, non-Hasidim, and it's just a beautiful conglomeration of the ingathering of exiles. And I love davening there. And this week, unfortunately, I had my first disappointment. During Chazarat Hashatz, during what's called the Chazarat repetition or the public Amidah, as I'm about to explain, someone in front of me who's a regular was sitting down playing no less than chess on his phone. I thought maybe it was a slight, a one-time thing, but then yesterday, same time, he was doing the same thing again. And I'm wondering to myself how to respond to such a thing. And there could be two possible responses. Either blame the chazan or blame the person. So let's begin by blaming the chazan. The chazan is not a good chazan. He doesn't elevate the congregation enough, and therefore we're bored and we play chess. Maybe it's bichlal, not even the chazan. We don't need a repetition. It sounds strange. We repeat every single word we just said in the silent Amidah 2 minutes ago. Maybe once upon a time we needed a repetition because people didn't have a siddur, so they needed the chazan to say it out loud. Or they did have a siddur, but they were illiterate. Today, thank God, everyone has a siddur. If they don't have a siddur, they have a phone. So there's no reason for a repetition. There was such suggestions throughout Jewish history. Most famous is the Rambam in a famous tshuva that said if you can't have proper kavanah during Chazarat Hashatz, then maybe we should go away with Chazarat Hashatz, with the repetition. And indeed, there are kehilos that do away with it from time to time, such as Musaf on Shabbos, because davening so long, Shachris, we still have kavanah, we still have intent, we're still focused, but by Musaf, we're not there. However, by and large, this has not been accepted. By and large, the Rambam himself, in his halachos, in his Mishneh Torah, said you must do the repetition. So paskin the Shulchan Aruch, that even though the impetus was to fulfill the obligation for those that don't daven or can't daven, either they're illiterate or they don't have a siddur, the bottom line was the sages enacted it and it's enactment. That enactment stays even if the reason is no longer relevant. So why do we do it? So here we're not going to blame the chazan, we're going to blame the person. The person davens every day, he comes to mincha after all, and in a minyan, and in the middle of the workday. But I don't think he ever looked into why we do this repetition. And explained, Rav Soloveitchik, based on others, that the reason is very simple. The private Amidah is for me. When I ask God for Rifa'enu, heal the sick, I mean people I know, people are my neighbors, my kids who happen to be sick. When I ask for it in the repetition, it's not for me, but it's for the public, that there should be a cure for cancer for everyone, that there should be better public medicine. When I ask in Barech Aleinu for money, I mean my mortgage, my bank account. When I ask for it in the public Amidah, in the repetition, I'm asking that we should have more resources for the Jewish community to do more for the Jewish community as a whole. And therefore, said Rav Soloveitchik, these are two Amidas, very different. One is for me personally, and the other is for the community as a whole. From this perspective, first of all, it's uncanny to think that I have nothing to do with this public Amidah. I'm part of the public. I won't play chess or checkers during that time. Number two, said Rav Soloveitchik, just like you stand up for your private Amidah, you should stand up for the public Amidah, though it's not an obligation. The Shulchan Aruch definitely encourages it. And number three, said Rav Soloveitchik, a chumrah on top of a chumrah, you should keep your feet together. So I'm not so sure all these chumras is possible for everyone. Not everyone can stand up. physically, and even if they can for the private Amidah, not sure you can push it. But I can definitely promise you one thing. Ever since I've adopted all three chumras, namely, A, I know it's for the public and I'm part of it. B, I stand up. And C, I keep my feet together. My public Amidah, or repetition, has become a totally different experience. I listen word to the Chazan as the Shulchan Aruch says. Shulchan Aruch says, lishtok ulechavein, to be quiet and to listen to the Chazan. And ever since that happened, I would never think of playing chess or checkers during the public Amidah. So in honor of Saadia Deri, let's just put up our Avodah Shebalev one notch and give a little more credence even to the repetition.